We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. It is Monday. We're starting out yet another week. And on this show, we have the good fortune to have C Temptation on the show. If you've seen my lives or seen her on this show, you know what we're getting into here. Here's a young
Hey
woman that
everybody,
doesn't,
how's everybody doing?
she doesn't hold back, and she will talk some shit, which is good because I've been accused of talking some shit now and again too. So this should be a great shit talking show.
Well, not just about so much of talking shit, but it's all about just bringing the truth to everybody.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Before we get into it, I want to let folks know, and we'll let them know at the end of the show too, that you are on TikTok and you have a podcast. So why don't you tell folks where they can find it? Because once they hear you, no doubt they'll be looking.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm definitely on TikTok under the political discussion. Plus, I'm on YouTube and Instagram, the political discussion. And basically, the philosophy of my show is to, to transform people from confusion to a level of calmness, but also in the same breath, try to bring truth and truth information to everybody. So that way, bring expanding a level of awareness. So I'm just trying to, when calling myself building a movement.
Well, yeah, you and I are similar in that sense. We do offer some hope, and people say, "Well, it's hopeless." If you don't have any hope, then just fucking give up. There's always got to be hope, and there's always got to be a future. Um, and people like you and I can't save the world. The only thing we can do is
No.
keep talking the way we talk, get that information out, and hope those people pass on the information, and they pass on the information. It's kind of a grassroots type of thing. Uh,
Exactly.
so in essence, I would say people like yourself and people like me are more simply defined as shit stirrers. We're kind of shit stirrers, wouldn't you agree?
Well, just like I said, it's all about bringing truth to people. You can't change grown folks. If they want to accept the information, that's great. If they don't, then, I got to keep moving.
Absolutely. Well, the one of the most timely reasons that Sea Temptation is here today is because of this impending, essentially an attack on Chicago by
Yes,
Donald Trump and the National Guard and ICE and all of this stuff. And of course, Sea Temptation lives in Chicago. So this is
correct,
very timely to talk about it. What's
correct.
going on? We keep hearing this is going to happen and he hasn't done it yet. I think he will. He's already got people lining up at a naval
Wow.
base and such. Well, what's the attitude among folks in Chicago right now with this
Honey, you already know the people in
eventuality?
Chicago. We're going to fight, though. And I heard that protesters out there fighting right now. So I'm telling you, Donald Trump and the National Guards, they do not want any of Chicago smoke. I'm telling you. Because we're not going to sound to it, so sign to it, and we're going to fight.
Is it to the point that you see the possibility of violence there?
It's possible, but me personally, I'm just gonna think the best and just think positive and pray that it doesn't get to that level of, violence.
Well, people will say, well, that's what he wants. He wants violence and then he can do this and that. Well, he's already doing that shit. So I'm not one to advocate for violence, but at some point, that's the only thing left to do. And I don't know that we're there yet, but if you're going to stir up a hornet's nest and put yourself at risk of seeing some smoke, doing what he's going to be doing in Chicago with the people in Chicago,
Yeah.
he's sure poking the bear at this fucking point.
And here's the thing, Mike, because with Donald Trump, he doesn't care about bringing safety and protection to Chicago. He's all about, bringing fear and terrorism,
Right.
and I have statistics in front of me right now proving that, the crime rate in Chicago has actually decreased. For example, like talking about homicides, and I have the information in front of me now. It says through June of 2025, Chicago recorded 188 homicides, reflecting a 32% 8% decline compared to 2024. So the overall homicide count for 2025 stands right now as 278, marking a 31% decrease from 2024. And then let's get into the pew-pewings, if you know what I mean. That
We're
declined by 37.4% compared to last year of 2024.
we're on
And
the
then,
podcast, so you don't have to mess with your language. You can say whatever
okay.
you want.
And then we have also other violent crimes like robberies that decreased by between 32 and 33% with 4,119 incidences noted in for this year 2025 compared to 6,119 cases last year in 2024. And then you have aggravated battery assaults that's a reduction between 12 to 18%. And then that's compared to, of course, last year in 2024. And then you have the non-residential burglaries increased by about 5% over November 2024. And then you have the larceny that declined by 9%, and motor vehicle theft dropped by 29% for the first half of 2025. And then you had drug related offenses increased slightly by 34%, although June 2025 still showed a 67% drop from the peak seen in August 2019. So, I mean, where is the emergency? Where is the where do we need the National Guards at? If the numbers show, speaks for itself.
Well, that's exactly right. When we talk about a president going in and taking over a national guard, um, there are two different things that typically have to happen when that happens, and that's been a rarity up until the time Donald Trump's been become president.
Right,
But there has to be some kind of crisis. Back in the '60s, we had huge riots and this sort of thing, and
right.
I guess it warranted. But the other part of this is typically, if not specifically, the governor has to request that help.
Absolutely. And Pritzker, and he already made it clear that he did not authorize it and he do not want the National Guards here in Chicago. He already made a press conference on that and he confirmed it. Same with Mayor Brandon Johnson.
And so, much like what he did in Los Angeles, Gavin Newsom said that, look, we don't want you here. And he just did it anyway. And that, uh, given the circumstances, given there's no crisis, there was no serious violence or riots or anything like that, that
Hmm.
is unconstitutional. Now, we know we
Right.
have a DOJ that isn't going to do anything about it, but at some point later down the line, when Donald Trump is no more and somebody of reasonable intelligence is running the DOJ, some of these people could be held culpable for these things. But that's what you have in Chicago. You have crime going down essentially. But even if crime
Exactly.
wasn't going down, you have no crisis there. It's not particularly on fire there. I mean, there's not a lot of stuff
No,
going
no,
on.
it's not. No, it's
And
not.
Pritzker and the mayor have specifically said, do not come here. So it's going to
Exactly.
be interesting to see how he's going to rationalize that, or if he'll rationalize it at all. He'll just fucking do it.
And here's another good thing that I saw a video last night while Pritzker did another interview. He made a valid point because if Donald Trump is so concerned about reducing the quote unquote crime, which is not ridiculous like it was though, if he was so concerned, why don't he bring the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms agent to Chicago to try to put a stop to this? Because the only thing that the National Guards are trained for is to be out there in the battlefield and to aim and fire. That's all they do. They're not trained to do any type of police work or law enforcement, nothing to that in that area.
Well, and that's the point. Donald Trump doesn't intend to do anything. Everything Donald Trump does is performative. It's about creating the perception that he's a tough guy, a powerful guy, a smart guy. Everything he does is performative. There is little, if any,
Exactly.
substance to it. And to point that out, just yesterday or the day before, he came out with a meme. I don't know if you saw this meme. The meme was a picture of him kind of fit
I saw that
into
this morning. I was like, that's ridiculous.
an old poster of Apocalypse Now, and he referred to Chicago as Chipocalypse,
A
Shapocalypse.
straight insult. That is an insult.
Well, and then he said, I love the smell of deportation in the morning, which is a ripoff of the movie and Robert Duvall saying, I love the smell of what is it?
He need to go smell his ass somewhere and check out his diaper.
Well, and but here's where
Mm.
he got here's where he got in trouble. He said, the people of Chicago will know what we mean when we bring in the Department of War. He's been wanting to change the
Yeah, I heard
Department of
about that. He
Defense
wants to change
to the
that
Department.
department, but he doesn't have the authority because he's an example right there of his, his just, it's called abuse of power. And plus, the man is just arrogant.
Well, and the thing about it is he said this in this meme. Okay, he said it very clearly. He's talking
Yeah.
about war. He's talking about apocalypse. He's talking about all this stuff. Um, and then today, somebody, Jake Tapper, was interviewing Tom Horman or Holman,
Mhm.
the,
Mhm.
the the border czar, and they said, "Is Donald Trump going to war with the city of Chicago?" And Tom Homan mumbled and stuttered and said, "Well, you've taken it out of context." No, bitch. The context is pretty clear. He posted this. He said this. It's a legitimate question. You just don't want to answer the question. And then
Exactly.
Donald Trump was in a press conference, and uh, a young a young black reporter, a young woman. She's on TV a lot.
Hmm.
I can't pronounce her name, but she's very talented. And she said the same thing to Donald Trump. She said, "Are you going to war with Chicago?"
Hmm.
Now, the wording of that is very bad. And if he was to admit to something like that, he's basically admitting to a crime. But
Treason.
you're right. And exactly, treason. And he said, young lady, what you're talking about there is fake news. Again, it's not fake news. It was
Really?
there. You put it out. It was fake news. And then he proceeded to do what he typically does. Be quiet, listen. Be quiet, listen. Young black woman, be quiet, listen.
Oh, hell no.
You don't listen. You don't ever listen. And that's why you're a second-rate reporter. That's what he said. So he's getting
He got a
called
lot
out
of
on
nerve
exactly what
talking
he did.
about that, but was the January 6th, was that fake news? Really?
Well,
Really?
that's typically what he does. He'll say something take something that's obvious and tell people a flat out lie. And for some reason, there's a certain percentage of people in this country that believe him when it's very clear that he's lying.
Yeah, he's a persistent, compulsive liar. I mean, he lies all the time. It's like, why do people keep on believing everything he says?
Right, right, exactly. Um, so what is Pritzker doing to prepare? Is there anything he can really do other than encourage people to protest, not to bend the knee? Does
Basically,
he bring
from
out
what
his
I heard,
own?
he said he's ready. They're ready. They're ready. They on standby. He said that if they step into Chicago, he is ready to take him to court because prior before he became governor, he was an attorney, so he knows what he's doing. He knows his stuff.
Well, and the other thing I heard was that if these ICE agents come to town and they break laws, they're going to fucking arrest them, which
That's
is what
right.
should happen.
That's right. That's right. And they should. Because I think Brandon Johnson has signed an executive order to that effect, I believe.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So you think when they come in and they start grabbing people off the street, which for all intents and purposes is kidnapping, they aren't identified
exactly.
themselves.
Exactly.
There is no due process. That is against the law. So do you think it's going to get messy in Chicago, or do you think
I'm
Donald
hoping,
Trump
praying that
will?
it doesn't, but like I was saying on one of my videos the other night, for people that get stopped by ICE agents, make sure that you know your rights. I mean, because there are two different types of warrants. You have the administrative warrant and you have the judicial warrant. The difference
Right.
between the two is with the administrative warrant, that's issued by an ICE person or a supervisor of ICE. When you're talking about judicial warrant, that's ordered by the judge of the court.
Right.
So if they come in with an administrative warrant, they can't enter in anybody's homes. There's nothing really too much they can do. But a judicial warrant, that's a whole nother level.
Well, as I understand it, these ICE agents and or National Guard, are they bringing in National Guard from other states or are they co-opting the National Guard in Illinois?
From what I heard, though, they're bringing in the National Guards. They're deploying them from Texas.
Oh, okay. So they're not taking the National Guard from Illinois. They're not
No,
taking them over.
they're being
And
deployed from Texas. That's from what I heard. Yes.
what's it the upside to this, no, seeing what the National Guard was doing in Washington D.C.
Hmm.
should be able to clean up the city because all they're doing is picking up fucking garbage.
And it's a waste because it's like, they're trained to work out in the battlefield, not to be out there just picking up. I mean, that's why we have the Department of Streets and Sanitation. That's their job.
Right. Right. Why do you think they picked Chicago to
You
start
know
out?
what? I kind of thought about it, because I think one of the reasons when Trump had ran, for term the last time he came to Chicago, and I saw this on Facebook Live, he came in to do a speech and he was at the University of Illinois Chicago school. And when he was getting ready to walk up to the platform to make his speech, then a lot of the students, they chased him up out of here. They was throwing rocks and he started panicking and he just ran and he went straight to Indiana after that. So I think, to me, my personal opinion, I could be wrong, but I think it's a form of revenge and just for him to use psychology to gain strength and to control the people in Chicago. But I'm telling you right now, he's fucking with the wrong city.
You think it has any racist parts
Oh
to
yeah,
this?
because I found out, I heard as well that I think it was on the 13th of this month, September. They normally have Mexican independence celebrations. And when I read this morning online, they had to cancel that because they're too afraid because they don't want to be deported, snatched by ICE. And
Right.
last year when they had the celebrations, they had what, 20,000 people there. And I was like, this is just really sad. It's just sad.
It is pretty sad. It's going to be interesting what's going to happen here. I mean, he kind of caught California off guard, and Christy Nome said something, and I was wondering what you thought about this, because
Mhm.
I understood the protest and the National Guard. It was a very
Yeah.
small area of Los Angeles. It wasn't like all of Los Angeles. It was like
Right.
6 blocks. It was like 6 blocks, and so Christy Nome came out and did an interview, and this may be hard for you to believe, but she may be the dumbest of the cabinet for Donald Trump. She may be the
All of
dumbest.
them in that administration is completely stupid. Mhm.
But she said that had it not been for Donald Trump and the National Guard, Los Angeles wouldn't even exist anymore.
Now
It would have
you,
burned to the
Mike,
ground.
you know, and I know that's a bunch of bullshit.
I don't know. I'm old enough to remember the riots after Rodney King. That was fucking nuts. Even old enough
Okay,
to
but what
remember the
about
Watts
now?
riots.
What about
That's what I'm
now?
saying. That's what I'm
Mm.
saying. Those times were pretty pretty crazy, and there was a lot of
I
violence, and
remember.
we were
I
watching on
remember it.
TV.
Hmm. I remember it.
You could almost see the National Guard going in situations like this, but there's nothing like that happening in Chicago or L.A.
No,
So
sir.
he's just trying to show that he's a strong man like his buddies. And it's just not going to work. Everything Donald Trump does, he fucks up. We know that.
Yeah.
And so I'm waiting for him to go into Chicago and be absolutely categorically fucking embarrassed by it. He's going to be. There's no
I'm
question.
telling you right now, Mike, if he ever pulls this, though, he's going to make a complete ass out of himself.
Now, if he comes into a city like Chicago because he didn't like the reception he got, you were talking about, they may have
Hmm.
booed him or ran him out of town or whatever. So it's revenge. We should be looking ahead to him taking revenge on the U.S. Tennis Association because he went out to the U.S. Open today, which he has done many times,
Okay.
and they booed the fuck out of him a whole time, booed the fuck out of him. And you know what? They knew it was coming too, because from the president's office sent to the media, they said, listen, we don't want you airing any disruption by the crowd when the president's there. Basically saying, if you hear him booing, just turn it down. Don't let people hear it. But of course, everybody in the fucking crowd's got a camera on their phone and it's all over social media. Now he got
Thank
the
you.
shit
Thank
boot
you.
out of him.
Thank
Cannot
you.
stand that motherfucker. Um, and that's got to take a toll. You know, when we talk about fucked up things, I'm going to bounce around here a lot. We'll talk more about Chicago, but
Okay.
um, Mike Johnson was on television a couple of days ago.
Oh, that crazy fool.
Yeah, and he's really having a tough time trying to deal with this Jeffrey Epstein files things.
Oh, hell.
He does not want the discharge thing to go because then he has no control over the vote on the bill. People pushing the files, and he sat and talked to Raju Manu,
Mm-hmm.
CNN, and he said that Donald Trump was in fact an informant for the FBI regarding.
Bullshit.
Well, you know what's interesting.
Yeah.
This is how they fucked up. And then a lot of us thought, okay, you're an informant. Why would you be an informant? I mean, you won't even sit in front of Congress if you're under oath. So you decide to be an informant. If that's true, and I don't believe it's true, if
Mm-mm.
it's true, the only reason you become an informant is because you did some fucked up shit and you need to get out from under it. So you're going to throw your buddies under the fucking bus.
You know
And
what,
and
Mike? I think, and I'm gonna stop you right there. Didn't mean, no disrespect, but
no problem.
he's doing that though just to throw us off of the main course because, like I said, and he does that. He uses psychology, throw us off of the narrative in terms about what's really going on. And I'm gonna share a tidbit of some inside information that I know about the situation. When you're talking about this Epstein story, it's a secret society. I mean, and what I mean by that is containing celebrities, actors and actresses from Hollywood, people in the fashion industry, even people working behind the scenes of that, with less known names, and they've been around. The secret society has been around for over 100 years. And I mean, and to be real, though, Donald Trump's family is part of the secret society. I'm not going to name in terms of who was involved, but I know they're part of the secret society. They've been around a long time.
Well, I'll just say
Yes,
two
sir.
things about it. First of all, regarding Mike Johnson, because he got such a kickback, the
Mm-hmm.
Speaker of the House came back out today and said, "Ah, I misspoke. He wasn't really an informant because it blew up in his face. He didn't
Exactly.
even he it blew up in his face." And my question to the Speaker of the House, we all misspoke speak at different times, but if
Mm-hmm.
you're the Speaker of the House and you are the leader of all the Republicans in the House of Representatives, you would think that he might think before he opens his fucking mouth, and clearly he didn't because he fucked up. He caused a lot of damage to Donald Trump, and now he's trying to walk it back, and people
Try to clean it
are
up.
they're trying to clean it up. Now, what you're talking about, the secret society, I think most people, if this was 4 or 5 years ago, would say that this girl's conspiracy theorist. This is crazy. But it seems less crazy now when you see the kind of things that have been happening, what we've heard
Mm-hmm.
about these, what little we've heard about the evidence. But there is something weirdly going on amongst a lot of people who have money, who believe they think they can do
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
What's weird about it is in 2016, maybe it was 2020, it was 2020
Mm-hmm.
when um, QAnon came out. They kept talking about the this cabal of pedophiles. That was the
Uh,
impetus of this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing. There's a
uh,
bunch of Democratic people. They've got a secret society. That's kind of what they said, and they're
right.
abusing young
Right.
women and men for that matter.
Right.
Uh,
Exactly.
and the interesting thing is, we always hear from people that say whatever Donald Trump accuses you of, that's basically a confession of what he's doing. It's
There you
stupid, but
go.
that's what he does. So now we're to this point with Jeffrey Epstein as we find more about it. QAnon
Mm-hmm.
said there was this cabal of people that were abusing kids, and we find out, yeah, there is kind of a cabal of a large group of people that are abusing kids, except it's
Mm-hmm.
not just Democrats. It's Republicans, it's rich people, it's powerful people. Um, it's really getting kind of scary that some of this stuff is coming true, even though it's not quite what they said. The
Mhm.
idea that there might be a group of people out there that are kind of organized to a certain extent,
Right.
maybe not organized, but they're all centrally connected. That that shit is going on. That's frightening.
It is. And then, and then I've heard in a couple of lies where, the host was like, "Well, where were the parents at? Where were the parents at?" And found out that those children were being groomed to
Yeah.
participate in these, explicit activities, I mean, because I really believe that the parents, only thing they were thinking about was the money. Now,
Money.
does it make
Yeah.
it right? Absolutely not.
Well, that's it. That's exactly it. I mean, you do have to question the parents because I got to be honest with you. I have two sons, but
Mm-hmm.
if I had a daughter and my daughter came to me or my granddaughter came to me, she's
Right.
15 years old and said, "Yeah, I got a job massaging some old guy. He's going to pay me a lot of money." That would be a hard fucking no.
That would be a red flag.
And it wouldn't matter how much money was involved.
Because I know first thing if I know you, Mike, first thing you'd be like, where's that man at?
Where's my baseball bat? I'm gonna fuck some old white guy up.
Oh,
Yeah.
hell.
What do you think? Do you think we'll see the evidence come out here ultimately? Do you think it'll break out?
Now in terms of the women are concerned, now don't get me wrong, I really back the women up all the way because, and I spoke on this on one of my previous videos that, I'm down for women's rights and women's health. And, I was a date rape victim myself some years ago. So I kind of got an idea on what those women are going through. But, but
Yeah.
if they don't, but I don't think, me personally, I don't think the Congress, the government is going to come out with the files. I think the women is going to come forward and reveal, who was involved. They're not
Yeah.
going to do it, and Donald Trump is too busy want to pay these women off though. Then that way they won't come forward, and that's. I just hope they don't fall for it. I really don't.
Well, I think they've been falling for all these years, either getting paid off or threatened. That's kind of
Mhm.
what's happening. That's why it hasn't come to the forefront. But
Yeah,
this is a much different situation. They've got media, they've got lawyers, and they've got all of them together ready to
absolutely.
fight this out. It's prior to this, it was all these little individual groups or individual women that had to
Hmm.
go up against this big financial machine, and it was just not possible, and they didn't want to destroy their lives. This is a much different thing with all of them coming together. This gives them a
Exactly.
lot of power, and the media is kind of rolling on it. This is, unfortunately, the media only jumps on the hottest thing, and right now, the Jeffrey Epstein evidence is the fucking hottest thing. So they might
Right.
as
Right.
well try to
Exactly.
benefit from that. Um, I think you're right. I think I don't know what the government's going to do. People keep talking about they're going to get this discharge bill passed and they'll force them to do it. But the fact of the matter is, we still have to. It still has to go through Pam Bondi to do
Oh
this,
hell no, she. Mm-mm. Those
and we
files are
know
not gonna come out. Mm-mm. Like
no,
I
and
said, the
and
women gonna have to write up, their own list in terms of who was actually involved. Pam Bondi, I don't
well, and
trust
that
her.
and that's the thing I'm excited about because the moment they said we're going to come up with our own list, we know who these people are.
Right.
People came out and said, look, if they do that, they're going to get sued and shut down by money or threats or whatever. But the upside to this is, oddly enough, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massey said, no, give us the list. We'll read it on the floor of the House of
I
Representatives.
don't trust
And
Marjorie Taylor Greene. I just do not trust her. I just,
no,
mm-mm,
but
mm-mm.
the interesting thing is the safety net for Thomas Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, or whoever else
Mhm.
reads these on Congress's on the House floor, they cannot be sued. There's a law that
That's
said anything
crazy.
anything that you say on the House floor or the Senate floor, you cannot be sued for. So that would be a workaround to all these rich people that want to shut it down. If we've got people in Congress willing to spew the list, the richest person in the world can't shut it down. And if nothing else, that's got to be making them shit their pants.
Well, I don't know about you, but from the inside information I gathered, though, it's some secret investigations going on regarding Mr. Donald Trump.
I've heard some things about that. Maybe you can expand on that because I'm really not. You hear a lot of things in the news, and these days it's hard
No, no,
to.
no, no, dear. I ain't talking about on the news. I'm talking about inside information. I don't go by news. No, no way. I mean, it's some secret investigations going on with Trump. And just to touch on a few, one of them is regarding the election, and one of them is regarding these deportations going on with ICE. Because and even with the situation with Kilmore Garcia, what they're doing is totally illegal. And then they already admitted from the beginning when they first picked him up, they said they picked him up by mistake. But why are you taking him out the country if it was a mistake? Make it make
Yeah.
sense.
Well, are you suggesting that there are some workings going on behind the scenes that
Yes,
we
sir, it
haven't been
is.
haven't been told about?
Yes, sir, it
And
is.
it would make sense that that would be the case. Donald Trump, what everything that he's done has been so egregious and so illegal. You would hope that there were people, decent people, law-abiding people, people who understand rule of law behind the scenes, trying to put some things together to shut this
Mhm.
down. Somebody who's going to be a hero. We'd like to think that. What we've seen up to this point, we haven't seen any heroes. We've seen cowards. But you're
Yeah,
you're saying you're hearing behind the scenes that they're looking into a lot of things because I mean
right.
the
It's some
DOJ
inside
is Pam.
investigations going on with it right now, but it's not. But I'm gonna put it on the record, though. It's not going to happen immediately. It's going to be a while. Even if something happens to Trump, they're going to go after the administration because once he's gone, they're not going to have that protection over Trump anymore.
Right. Did you hear this story about? It's in court right now. We're waiting to find out.
Uh huh.
But with Jeffrey Epstein, around the time of his trial where he was convicted,
Hmm.
he was there were two payments made. $250,000 and $100,000. He made payments to two people
Who was that?
around. Well, that's what we don't know, and we want to and we want the court to say, go ahead, tell us. For some
Mhm.
reason, Republicans really don't want us to know. Let me suggest this to you. I'm not saying this is what happened, but if I'm
Okay.
thinking about this logically, and
Okay.
he's in court, we know that Alex Acosta he was the prosecutor, and
Okay.
he cut him a sweetheart deal. He was in jail for 1 year. He had work release, so he was out 12 hours a day for all the
Hmm.
heinous crimes he committed. He got a sweetheart deal. Why
Wow.
would a prosecutor in Miami or Florida generally cut that kind of deal? There's got to be some kind of incentive. So
Right, and
maybe he
then with
got
him being a sex offender, I mean, because the average sex offender, they would have to register, but basically for the rest of their lives. So I'm like, how did he get a deal like that and get work release?
okay. And there's one other person. If you're, I'm not saying I have any inside information about this, but if I'm going to look at this
Mhm.
logically, Alex Acosta
Okay.
cut a sweetheart deal for no apparent reason. That would suggest to me maybe he is one of the recipients of that money. The other person,
Wow.
guess who the other person is?
Oh,
It was the Attorney General of Florida. You know who that was?
damn, I forgot that person's name. Damn.
Pam Bondi.
Wow. And you know what? And I would not be surprised if she's part of that clique too.
Well, she almost had to be. She was the Attorney
She had
General
to
when
be.
this. She had to be because when this sweetheart deal was cut for Jeffrey Epstein, she was the Attorney General,
Yeah.
the top law enforcement person in the fucking state. It
And it
had to
was
be
rumors going
tied to that.
around saying that Pam, and I'm not 100% true on this. This is alleged, quote unquote, that she was supposed to have been one of Donald Trump's victims. But I mean, I had to look into it because, like I said, that part I'm not sure, but that's what I heard.
I saw a picture of yeah, I've seen that on TikTok, a picture of this young
Yeah.
blonde-haired girl, and everybody's saying that's Pam Bondi. I saw no proof that it was Pam Bondi, and it really
That's why I
doesn't
said
make a
alleged
difference.
because I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, yeah, but this is interesting. Republicans are fighting like hell to not release the names of those people that received checks. Now, it doesn't suggest that these checks were paid to them for any illicit reasons or nefarious reasons. They just don't want the names out. So, why would the Republicans not want the names out unless it was somebody tied to them? Alex
It had to
Acosta
be, they had to be part of
and
the
Pam Bondi,
society. Yeah.
or
And let me share
part
this
of
other
the
story
grift.
with you. Let me share this
Sure.
with you because I found this out yesterday that it was a guy, I think he was from Israel, and he was in Las Vegas, and he was trying to find a young lady to, engage in,
Mhm.
sex. And the young girl that he found, I think she was in her teens, but she was a undercover FBI agent. She
Oh,
ended up
wow.
arresting the man. He went to prison. He bonded out. And normally, somebody that's out of the country, they normally would keep the passport. But once he bonded out, they gave the man back his passport and flew back to Israel. And I was like, and then they had to be one of Donald Trump's people. It had to.
Well, don't when there's a representative uh, in Oregon. What's his name? Reardon or Rordan or something like that.
Something
But
like that,
anyway,
yeah.
he has a lot of documentation about the finances for Jeffrey Epstein.
Okay.
And one of the things he found was there were four banks tied to what Jeffrey Epstein was doing,
Hmm.
whatever that may be.
Yeah.
And the total amount of money in between those four banks going back and forth was $1.5 billion.
Not surprised.
Now, if there's that much money involved, you can't tell me that the sexual abuse of young girls is the only thing that's fucking going on here. There's something deeper to this whole thing.
Oh yeah, and I meant to touch on that, and I apologize for that because with this secret society, like I said, inside information again, it's based upon three different categories, actually four. You got the sex, you got the drugs, and then you got money laundering, and then you got weapons.
And it sounds like there's international things going on too with like,
Local, international, no, local, regional, and international. So it's all over. And like I said, this society's been around for a long time.
now, let me ask you this. You tell me that you have inside information.
Yes, I do.
I don't have inside information. I read what I read. I look into and I do that.
It's
How
not
does
news.
how does one like see temptation get inside information? You don't have to tell me where you're getting it from. I'm just curious how you happen upon it.
I got my ways, I'll put it like that.
You feel
It's not,
comfortable with
I'll
those
put it like
sources?
this, it's not what you know, but who you know.
Well, that's absolutely true. But you feel
Okay?
confident and assured by what you're hearing from these
Yes,
people?
I do. Yes, I do. Absolutely.
Because I got to tell you, if some people get information on TikTok, and I'm on TikTok,
Oh no,
but
no, 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 no,
you
no,
got to
no,
be a
no,
little
no,
wary
no,
of that
no,
shit.
no. Mm-mm. No,
Okay.
sir. This is not from TikTok. I'm telling you, it is not.
Okay.
Because,
Well, that's
like I
good.
said, because me personally, I like to dig, even when I do my videos, I like to research and get accurate information, not just putting stuff out there and saying, well, so and so. But I'm like, why would I put something out there without checking first and doing the research and reading and find out whether the information is accurate or not?
Right.
And plus, like I
Right.
said, and plus I got inside connections. So, oh yeah, I do some thorough searching.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I trust you, but I'm just thinking people out there. She says she has inside information.
I
How do we
sure
know
do.
that's true?
Well,
Uh,
I
you,
mean, if they take my word for it, okay. If not, then I can't worry about it. But I'm just putting the truth out there. I mean, I ain't got no reason to make this up for what.
and the proof is in the pudding, so to speak.
Okay.
How does it end up? How does it end up? I mean, a lot of people out there make predictions on TikTok and stuff, and I never listen to them because it's
I
just
don't either. That's
all
just,
trying to get
bunch of
clout.
bunk. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you really can't predict what's going on. Like you say, there's so much stuff going on in the background. If that stuff is happening, this is so big with the crimes and corruption of Donald Trump, with
Mm-hmm.
this cabal of sexual abusers, the money, the international stuff. If all that stuff is going on, it is huge. And when it finally breaks, the dam breaks, this country will change dramatically because we'll have a different perception of our government and the
Mm-hmm.
people who we've trusted. I mean, it'll break the nation, but in a good way, I think. It'll clear out the bullshit.
Exactly. Because eventually the truth is going to come to the light. I mean, they could sit up here and keep certain things in the dark all they want to, but eventually it's going to come to the forefront.
Yeah, eventually. Um, Donald Trump went through a period here where we thought he was sick, hoped he'd die. um, when you see Donald Trump talking and the way he looks and stuff, are you thinking that he may be on a short term plan here?
I do, yeah, and like with the like for example with the dementia, because I took care of my mom for 4 years that had dementia before she made her transition, and what he's experiencing right now is not surprising. I mean, because I was telling somebody, because I'm a Nichiren Buddhist, and I was telling somebody who was a member of my group. I told her back earlier this year, we said the same thing. The man has dementia, and if somebody doesn't pull his coattail within the next 90 days, he's going to put this country in serious jeopardy. And that's exactly what he's doing right now, even down to those 11 people that got killed on that boat in Venezuela. And he
Yeah, I
thought it was
mean,
a drug boat, but it wasn't the case at all.
well, and I heard somebody explain that too. The thing about it is they blew up this boat,
Yeah.
swore they were gang members and swore they were drug runners. And what doesn't make sense about that, if
Hmm.
I'm a drug runner and I have a small boat, I'm not going to have 11 people on that boat.
My point exactly.
The bulk of the weight is going to be the drugs because that's where the money is. You don't need 11 people on that boat. You maybe have one
Right.
or two people and the rest packed with drugs, if that were the case. In this instance, it was 11 people. And
Exactly.
more information is coming out that these weren't drug people or gang
Drug
people. They might
runners.
have been
Exactly.
immigrants. But the
Exactly.
bottom line is they were civilians. So if a president goes out and bombs something in the middle of international waters and kills 11 people. You sent me a video of somebody who was suggesting that the U.S. Marshal should file, arrest him because he's
Yeah, he
committing
should be prosecuted
crimes.
because what happened, that's murder.
Right. The only problem with that, though, is that the U.S. Marshals is under the purview of the DOJ and Pam Bondi. So Pam Bondi could say, "Yeah, don't do that." That's the problem. There is no independent law enforcement arm that can go after Donald Trump that he doesn't have control over,
You know
indirectly
what?
or
And I'm
directly.
glad you brought that up, because what pisses me off with that is, they're not holding him accountable for any of these reckless actions. It's like, when are you going to start holding this man accountable?
Well, and
They just letting
he's
him
in.
walk away scot free. But if the average person did something like that, oh, they'll be under the jail.
Yeah, and the thing is that's where we are right now. Donald Trump controls all branches of the government, the judicial, the legislative, and of course the White House. And so he can do things and not be accountable for them. There are many things the DOJ should be looking at. I mean, let's be perfectly honest. By doing what he's doing, going into Los Angeles, Chicago, Washington D.C., bombing that boat in the ocean,
Mhm.
um, doing the things he's done, every one of those things would justify impeachment. He should
And
be
then
impeached,
And let me
but he
correct
won't
you
be.
on and let me correct you on one thing. You have the 23 governors, you have the attorney generals, you have the non-for-profit organizations that's fighting for us, like ACLU. I'm a member of ACLU, if you could see that. Then you also have indivisible.org, you have nokingsday.org, you have the Urban League, and then you have the NAACP. They are fighting for us, and they're standing strong. So it's not like all hope is gone. They are standing for
Oh no,
us.
no, no. That's absolutely right. But the problem is he should be impeached right now.
Absolutely.
But the
I
problem
mean, that's
is,
grounds for impeachment.
but the Republicans the Republicans control Congress, so they won't do it. And if I was a member of Congress right now, knowing where Donald Trump currently is and how short the future might be, I would be worried about standing side by side with Donald Trump because he's going to go away and die. And like you said, once he's gone, that doesn't mean they aren't going to look for accountability because everybody else in the cabinet, in the administration, in Congress, they don't have immunity. And
They
people are going
don't.
to want a pound of flesh for the crimes that were committed. And those people are in serious trouble when Donald Trump is gone.
And what worries me though is like, people's like, oh, well, when he makes his transition, they're going to celebrate. And I had to say this on a live one day. I said, we have to worry about J.D. Vance because the difference is he's not as vocal like he is with Donald Trump. I mean, he is quiet. He works more behind the scenes, and he's a sneaky fucker. He really is.
He is sneaky, and I would never suggest that he would be a great president or that we wouldn't be in
No,
trouble if he were
no.
president. I will say this, though, knowing that MAGA is
Mm-hmm.
a cult pretty much falls apart once their dear leader
It's
dies
gone.
or
Yeah.
gets in
Mm-hmm.
jail. JD Vance will want to probably try to do some of the things that Donald Trump would try to do, but he doesn't have the charisma, he doesn't have the power, he doesn't have the leverage that Donald Trump has. Can you imagine if there's a bill in the House? Donald Trump calls somebody out and says, "You better vote for me or else," and for whatever reason, they bend a knee. Most of MAGA and most of the Republican Party don't like or respect JD Vance.
Oh
If he
no, no,
if
no,
he's going to call
no.
somebody about a bill, they're going to fucking laugh at him. He's a joke.
They're gonna be like, "Are you serious? This clown?"
But when people say, "Well, if Donald Trump goes, we got JD Vance," I said, worry about things one at a time.
Exactly.
Let's cut the head off the snake, and then we can focus on JD Vance. Let's not worry about JD Vance until JD Vance is a worry. Uh, Once we get Donald Trump out of the way,
Right.
we don't have the craziness anymore because the Republicans want to control Donald Trump. They want to manipulate him, and they do it pretty
And that's exactly
successfully.
what they're doing now.
Right, that's exactly what they're doing. However,
Mm,
they have one problem. Donald Trump can be manipulated because he's stupid, but he's also a wild card.
yeah.
If he gets mad or if he gets nervous, he goes, does some crazy shit without asking anybody, and the Republicans are going, "What the fuck are you doing now?" So he's a danger to them because they can manipulate him, but they can't totally control him. JD
Right.
Vance will be a different deal. They'll be able to totally control him.
Because I was talking to a friend of mine. Well, she's one of my closest friends earlier, and we were speaking on that. And she feels that the Heritage Foundation has something to do with, them trying to manipulate Donald Trump. And I'm like, don't know about that because he's been a master manipulator ever since, we can remember.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the key thing he plays on is psychology to gain his strength and to try to manipulate people. I mean, like you even said before, and I said before, he's a narcissist. He's got that tunnel vision. He only thinks about himself, his ego, and how he looks, and wants to makes him put himself out there like he's big. In actuality, he's not.
No, and I saw something John Bolton said on TV after his house had been raided.
Hmm.
Somebody was talking about Donald Trump's ideology and what he was doing with Project 2025. And John Bolton
Hmm.
said something I agree with completely. Donald Trump is too stupid to have any kind of ideology. You have
You
to
feel
understand
me?
what's you have to understand what's going on here. Donald Trump is just flailing. He's been flailing from the beginning. It's
Yeah.
all the evil motherfuckers around him, like Stephen Miller and Project 2025, and all these people around him. They know how to manipulate him.
Hmm.
So they say, "Go do this, Donnie. They'll love you for it. Go do this." He doesn't know what he's doing. He just knows that somebody told him that if he does this, it'll be good for him. That's really as
Right.
simple as it is for Donald Trump. He's not a
Right.
smart man. He doesn't
No.
have an ideology. He doesn't have a strategy. He's just doing what people tell him because he just wants to look good.
Right. He just believes everything with certain people what they tell him instead of just actually looking further and say, well, let me look into this deeper to see if this is true or not. Let me give you another example. This was the other night, Friday night. I was watching a video from the Midas Touch because I really like those guys. And
I do too.
they, yeah, and they had mentioned about that Donald Trump had started investing in the meme coin or the crypto coin. And they
Right.
said that he's not really making any money off of it. They just said, well, oh, get involved in this, that'll make you look good, but he's not really making any money off the meme coin.
Somebody is. I'll
Yeah,
guarantee you.
but what they said is not him.
Well, and the thing about it is Donald Trump is so stupid that there's probably other people making a lot of money off of Donald Trump, and if he knew, he'd want his taste. You know,
Right.
Donald Trump, when he was running for reelection, he
Hmm.
said that there would be no new wars, and he
Right.
would be a peacetime president. He would end the war in Russia and Ukraine in
24
24
hours.
hours.
Right.
That's still going crazy. He said he would end the war between Israel and Hamas. Now, he said something. I'm waiting to hear a kickback on this. He said at the USTA, the US Open, he said that he completed an agreement with Israel, and now all that has to happen is Hamas has to agree to it. Now, I find that hard to believe
Mm,
because Benjamin
no way.
Netanyahu does not want peace. If he gets peace, he's probably going to jail. And Hamas has made plenty of offers. Donald Trump has taken offers from Hamas, and Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, refuses to do anything. So
Hmm.
I get the sense he's just lying, and I'm waiting to hear back from Israel to
Always.
say, "Yeah, we didn't say that," because that's what happens all the time. He said we did it with Russia. Well, Russia's going to agree to this, and Vladimir Putin says, "Yeah, no, we didn't. We didn't agree to that shit at all." He just makes shit up.
When he had those meetings with Putin, and then when he met with him in Alaska, and then we had that meeting with Zelensky at the White House, he was calling himself going to make some sort of a ceasefire. Did it ever
No,
happen? Hell no.
no,
And at the end of the day, though, Putin turned around and talked about Trump like a dog. He was like, and what gets to me is that Trump, worships him, worships hit the ground that he walks on, but Putin don't give a shit about him. He don't.
no, hell no.
And then
But
Trump
this,
is just too dumb to see this.
yeah, and this peacetime president that he claims to be, we've got
Right.
this other situation. He goes down into international waters off of Venezuela, and he blows this boat out of the
Hold
water.
up. Right.
He's also got warships in and around Venezuela, and I don't know if you heard this either,
Uh-huh.
but he sent 10 stealth bombers to Puerto Rico, and he's
What?
saying he's using that for drug control. You don't send stealth bombers, let alone 10 of them,
Oh
for drug
boy.
control. Some people are suggesting that maybe he's looking to actually invade Venezuela. Can you
I
fucking
wouldn't be
imagine that?
surprised. I would not be surprised.
Now, I wouldn't be surprised at
I
all.
don't, I
And
don't, I mean, that theory right there, I don't trust him. He's lying. He's covering some shit up.
well, yeah, and he's always trying to do something to take the. It just seems weird that all this crazy shit is going on in the country, and
Hmm.
all of it and around the world, and all of it seems to be an attempt to distract from Jeffrey Epstein.
There you
It
go.
seems like a minuscule thing compared to the world at large, but there's something about this Jeffrey Epstein that he's absolutely terrified about.
He's scared.
And do you think it's I don't think it's all about him being exposed. I don't think it's all about him being exposed. I think that there are a lot of wealthy, powerful men that could be exposed,
Right.
and they're
Not just
probably
not
applying
just
pressure.
himself, not just the wealthy people, but his family's involved in the secret society. That's one thing. And then, like I said, you have the people in the fashion industry. You got people that's working behind the scenes. I mean, because it could be somebody next door that could be involved in the secret society. We wouldn't even know it. But I will state this though: the one company that's I heard that is involved in that society, the Wall Street Journal.
Well, Rupert Murdoch owns it, so he could theoretically be in that whole mess. Now, when you say secret society, I'm curious as to what you mean. I mean, there are secret societies. We know for a fact that there is Skull and Bones with Harvard, I think it is. There
Mhm.
are secret societies. What do you think is the purpose of the secret society? Just
I mean,
to
it's like I told you. I mean, they're those categories, like I said, about the drugs, the sex, and what we mean by the sex, we ain't just talking about young girls. We talking about boys also, and then you have the money laundering, and then you have the weapons. And like I said, it's not just on a local level; it's regional and international.
yeah. Do you think do you think we're kind of in a precarious position for those folks? Do you think what's happening now, because Donald Trump is such a dumb fuck, as he continues down the road, continuing to fuck up and ultimately getting exposed? Do you
Mhm.
think we're at a point where all of this just fucking blows up?
I think it's going to lead up to that point. Yeah. Now, like I was telling you before, now whether they're going to come forward with the original files, I don't see that happening. But I think those women they're gonna tell it. They're gonna bring it forward. Which they need to.
But what I mean by that is not just Donald Trump, not just the Republicans, not just the people on that alleged list. I don't think it's a
Mhm.
list. I think it's a bunch of names in the evidence that you would make a list after you read through the evidence. But do you think this secret society and all of this
Mhm.
behind the scenes going on, do you think
Mhm.
this will be the impetus of blowing all that shit up? That we'll finally realize that this has been going on for decades and now here it is exposed to all?
I wouldn't put it past them. It's a great possibility. And I mean, because it's time for the truth to come out. I mean, it's like it's been happening for a long period of time, and it's time for the truth to come forward.
Can you imagine what would happen in this country
Oh hell.
if if everybody found out that there was shady shit going on with our government for
Ooh,
decades, that we could no longer trust our government? Where does that put democracy at that point? If
that
no
is a
one in the
good
country
question.
trusts the government, what happens next?
I mean, because it's to the point now, it's like we can't trust the Republican or the Democratic Party because, it's so
Seems
much
so.
shit going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I wonder if we aren't in for a serious turning point, not only clearing out the Republicans, uh, but just a wholesale change of everything. I mean, because
I mean, from what I heard, though, it's a civil war that's going on right now, and it's definitely involving the Republicans and the Democrats. Because look at the shit, what's going on. I can't trust the Democrats in Congress. Like I said, the ones that we could trust is the attorney generals and the 23 governors.
yeah, yeah, you know, people have experienced a lot of things in this country where they question it and they don't trust it. Going all the way
Nope.
back to the Kennedy assassination and Lee Harvey Oswald. You know, some people say it was just Lee Harvey Oswald, but there's so many fucking things that suggest it's not. Um, and it's weird. We were never going to find out what truly happened. We never will
Hmm.
find out, even in spite of the fact that Donald Trump is exposing certain amount of the documents from the Kennedy thing. If there were things we didn't weren't supposed to hear, there wouldn't be documents of that situation.
Right.
It would be, but we are seeing now. This is what Donald Trump has done from the beginning.
Hmm.
Whether it be racism, sexism, anti-Semitism, it's always been there. A lot of these people have hid under rocks or under the cover of darkness. They always felt this way, but they never spoke out loud. And when Donald Trump comes to the forefront, then everybody thinks, oh, it's cool. I can be racist out in public. I can be sexist. I can be an abuser out in public because the president is. Um, I just feel like this country is going to get a huge lesson
Yeah.
between now and 2028, and we are going to find things out that we never fucking imagined. I really do.
And I was telling my girlfriend earlier, and I was like, it's just unbelievable how one individual could have so much hatred in his heart, and he doesn't understand that this is the United States of America. I mean, because everybody in America came from different walks of life. You have black people, you have, Asian people, you have Hispanic people, you have people from Korea, people from Japan. We're all in one solid country. We're together, we're united. We're a rebel nation. And
Well,
it's just
yeah.
for one person to have that so much hatred, and no respect for humanity. It just blows me.
Well, and I think the most troubling thing about this is I was talking about before. Some people think Donald Trump is the linchpin, and Donald Trump is the one that um, is doing all this. He has all the hatred, and he does
Yeah,
all this stuff.
yeah.
Where the danger truly, Donald Trump is a fucking tool. He is a tool for a bunch of people in our government that are the evil motherfuckers, that are the ones that have enough intelligence to do some of the things that are being done, and and um, and it's basically saying, well, we can't do this, but give it to Donnie, he'll fucking do it. He's a dumbass. So even if we get rid of Donald Trump, we'll still have a pretty good sized faction of people in our government that are
Hmm.
just horrible motherfuckers.
Yeah, they're just out there. And I mean, it's just hard for me to believe, like Pam Bondi, Stephen Miller, Mike Johnson. It's like, why do you hate us so much? Because of this, the color of our skin? Look within us.
Well, and I don't even know if it's a hate for the sake of hating. The hate, the division is all just a strategy to separate us so they can gain power and gain money. Um, I don't even
Which
know
is
if Donald.
bullshit.
Well, it is. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it. It's hard to say that these people care about anybody in this country to any extent. They just use us in any way they can. And Donald Trump is a consummate user. He will play people off one another. He'll create division between groups, and it's all intended not to marginalize anybody specifically, just
Hmm.
for their own benefit, just so they can gain power and get rich. And that's the crazy thing about it is Donald Trump is not smart enough. I
No.
don't even know if he's smart enough to hate people. He will go off the deep end when somebody attacks him, but it's still all about self preservation. And I think he feels like his his future is a little tentative at this point. He's finally starting to feel uh, the spears a little bit, and he's not sure what to do.
He know his days are numbered. I mean, and what got to me the most is like, well, look what this so-called big fucked up bill that he created. He doesn't
Yeah,
realize a lot of people they're going to end up losing their benefits. People going to end up losing their lives, and then you're talking about disabled people. You're talking about, and I really feel for the seniors because that is so not right.
absolutely.
Especially if, because they got to make a decision. Well, do I pay my bills or do I pay for my medication? Should I pay this light bill or gas bill? It's fucked up. It's just terrible.
Yeah, it really is. And the thing is, I was watching on TikTok today, and I saw a young man who is presumably a farmer. Okay, and the farmers are getting fucked over to no end.
Right.
But these farmers got fucked over in the first term. They got bailed out, so they vote for him again. For what reason, I don't know. It's just absolute ignorance. So they vote for him again, and they're getting decimated again.
Yeah.
Um, and they're looking for another bailout. Okay. Now, people like me and other people have out there and said, wait a minute. We're going to bail you out. That sounds a lot like socialism. That sounds a lot like welfare. And I thought you were against that. I thought you didn't like that. And so this guy comes out on TikTok and he says, yeah, I hear there's some Democrats out there that want us to lose our farms and our families to
Oh, come
starve.
on.
And this is what he says. I thought it was hilarious. One time I responded to somebody, another creator, because I don't usually do that. But he
Hmm.
says, "Okay, you want us to starve? You want us to not get bailed out? How about this? How about this? The the minimum wage won't go up. It'll stay where it is, and you'll have to pay your student loans back. And I said, motherfucker, that's the way it is already. It's already that way. We haven't had minimum wage raised in 20 years, maybe longer than that. We are having to pay our student loans back. So that's your threat to me, that you're going to
So
have
he's
that
saying all
reduced?
this to say what? I'd have been like, dude, make it make sense. Your math is not adding up.
Well, the thing is this guy and other farmers specifically voted for Donald Trump. And one thing about this world, this country particularly, I hear it from my wife when she's at work, and I hear it from other
Mhm.
people. Nobody takes accountability. If something goes
No.
wrong for them, it's always somebody else's fault. And that's what these farmers will do. They knew better. They burned their hand on the stove and they touched the fucking stove again.
Yeah,
I feel bad and I feel compassionate for their families, but here's the problem. Why I wouldn't want to give them anything is because they didn't learn the first time.
exactly.
Apparently they have to burn to the ground before they learn, and that's
Exactly.
unfortunate, but that's not my fault.
It's not our responsibility. I mean, they made a decision, so if you made your bed, then you have to lie in it. Simple.
Do you think they'll try to bail out the farmers? I think they'll try, but
Yeah, there's no telling. I mean, they might try. I don't know.
the problem, I've said this about the farmers before. He bailed you out last time because he
Right.
needed your vote. Donald Trump only does things if he's getting something in return.
Exactly.
This time around, he doesn't need your vote. So what are you going to give him? You got nothing, man. I'd
No.
be surprised if they bailed him out. I mean, I think there'll be some Republicans that will try to bail them out because they have to get reelected. But if they're looking for Donald Trump to be their savior again and
It's
help them
not
out
gonna
after they
happen.
fucked them, it's not
Nope.
going to happen. And,
No.
and 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 they
Mm-mm.
deserve it. I'm sorry to say that. That sounds tactless. That sounds mean.
Shit,
But
that's real.
you take. I
That's
mean,
real.
put it this way: if I say some shit to my wife and she tears me up,
You mean by cussing you out?
yeah, do you think I'm going to say that shit again?
I
Fuck
hope
no.
the hell not.
Yeah, because I'm not stupid, or I don't assume it's going to be different. But
Because I know this, if you said something out of pocket with me, though, I'm going to straight check you. And I'll be like, don't let me catch you saying it again. Because if you do, we're going to have some problems.
well, yeah,
Not
and I,
saying I would do it, but just speaking hypothetically.
no, no, no. If I said I have respect for people who call me out if I say something that bothers them or makes them mad. I'm certainly capable of doing that. I mean, I've said before, I don't have many hobbies, but pissing people off is certainly one that's been working for me because I do that a fair share.
Oh, wow.
Um, I've had people say to me, "Well, you made me mad." I go, "Good. That's what I was intended to do. I don't like you. You should be mad." Uh,
In other
other
words, you'll be
people.
like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, exactly. I ran out of fucks in the 80s. I don't give a fuck
In
now.
other words, I don't know, I don't care, and I don't give a fuck.
Well, and that's probably one of the reasons why people watch me or watch you or watch some of these other folks, Eric. Um, Everybody we watch in media, on social media, they're kind of controlled by money or somebody's got some influence over them. People like you and I, we don't have anybody with any influence over us. They can't say, don't do this or we're going to do that. Frankly, if they want to do that, that's fucking fine. I don't care. I'm not here to get rich or famous. I'm just going to spew my shit, get it off my chest, hopefully be healthier in the long run and maybe help out a little bit.
And then in my case, like I said, because I have a birthday coming up the end of this month. I'll be turning 60. And I do want to definitely build my movement, and try to reach certain people, now, but it's up to them if they want to reach back out to me and we could grow
Right.
together. I'm cool with that. I'm like, hey, if you want to reach out to me, that's fine. But if you're not feeling me, then hey, move around, go on to the next creator.
Well, and a lot of people say, "What can I do?" And they want to figure out something that will fix all the problems, and that's just not possible.
No, it's
Um,
that's not reality.
no. and all you can do is kind of, all I'm really capable of doing is coming out here and talking and hopefully getting other people inspired to talk. And that's the same with you. It's just and people will either decide to join in or not join in, and there's not much you can do it. What you have to, people say, what should I do? I said, just do whatever you can. Do whatever you can.
Yeah, just do, like I said on my videos before, just focus on what you have control over, and what you don't have control over, just let it go. I mean, whatever you
Yeah.
can't do, then just like you said in your video, fuck it, just release it.
Yeah, I mean that's all you can really do. You'll lead a very stressful life if you're trying to fix every problem.
You can,
People
and we
worry.
can. Mhm.
No, people worry about the way I look at things, and it may be weird. Anything that's a day or two ago, I don't worry about because I can't
No,
control it.
no.
The future, I don't worry about because I know if I do what I'm supposed to do today, the right way,
Yeah,
the future will be fine. It will create itself by what I do today. So if I'm not worrying about the future and I'm not worrying about the past and I'm worrying about just doing the best I can now, it's a lot easier. It's a lot less to
exactly.
handle.
Because like even with in Buddhism, we can't worry about the past because that's yesterday. We sure can't worry about the future because that's tomorrow. Only thing we have control over is what we can do right here and right now, and just take it one step at a time. That's all we can do.
So, see, are you a Buddhist?
I am. Yeah, I've been on Buddhist for like a couple of years, I believe. Yeah.
You don't talk like a Buddhist.
I do study the principles of Buddhist, but in the same breath, I try to deliver truth. I just try to be me. That's all.
I'm in no organized religion at all, but I do have an affinity for Buddhism
Okay.
and the Dalai Lama because I've said this before. The Dalai Lama was asked to explain his religion one time, and his explanation was the simplest and best explanation I've
Mhm.
ever heard from any religious leader.
Okay.
Somebody said, "Explain your religion," and he said, "My religion is simple: be kind to one another." And when you
And
think about
also,
it, that's all it takes.
and not only that, I don't know if you remember the late and great Tina Turner, and she was a Buddhist forever.
Yeah.
And basically, we're standing behind the power of Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, which is basically talking about enlightenment and just elevating your life, to its highest potential.
I went through all kinds of things with Tina Turner. Uh,
That was my girl right there. I guess that's why I guess you could say she was my idol.
I'm 13 years old, watch her on Johnny Carson.
Oh,
And
wow.
as a 13-year-old boy, I'm going, God damn, that is a sexy woman. And then when she went
Oh,
on and got
wow.
older, when she got older and kind of came back and had all
Yeah.
those hits, my wife's a big fan. I'm a big fan of hers. She was an interesting person. She was a strong person who,
Yes.
like a lot of women, went through some shit early on, and
Yeah.
it didn't let that crush her. She just
Mm.
seemed to become stronger as time went on. And when she was done, she was kind of a boss bitch.
But going back to what I was saying, because she kind of got into the study of Buddhism and learn and getting the true understanding about Nam Myoho Renge Kyo and chanting, and just it's basically when you chant, it's like a form of a mind reset.
That's an interesting point. Um, I've often told people, I've tried to explain this to people, and I didn't learn this from Buddhism. I just kind of figured it out for myself.
Yeah.
Um, I'm a firm believer that what you believe, what you think, what you say is what you're going to get, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Because
if
one of the
I'm
laws we learned about is about the mystic law of cause and effect. In other words, what you put out there into the universe, that's exactly what you're going to receive, whether it be positive, negative, or indifferent. So when I look at the situation with Donald Trump, and I tell people, I'm like, well, hey, trust and believe he is going to receive his karma. It may
well,
not
yeah,
happen today or tomorrow, but he's going to receive it. Trust me.
Well, and if any of that is true, then what must be going on in Donald Trump's mind has to be a chaotic mess. Because what well, I mean, the narcissists I've known who've always done well and then finally crashed, it always happens the same way, and it looks like he's getting close to that point.
Oh
What
yeah,
happens is they have lies, they have bullshit, they have all the trying to control this, trying to
right.
control that, and they steadily get more balls in the air to the point where they have too many balls in the air and they can't control anything. They kind of explode mentally and everything kind of falls on top of them. They always get
Hmm.
overwhelmed with all the bullshit that they've been trawling out for
Yeah.
decades. And Donald Trump seems to be at this point. He's got Epstein here. He's got the polls there. He's got prices going up here. He's got all this shit going on. And he's typically been able to control it or at least distract from it, and it's not working anymore. So this has got to be fucking up his head to no end.
Because people are catching on to what he's doing. I mean, he's just, people are starting to catch on about the changes he's doing in terms of flipping over the narrative, just like what's going on with Chicago right now and what happened with this incident in Venezuela. It's all just trying to change the narrative in terms about the focus of the Epstein survivors.
Well, what you said is exactly true with narcissists. Is that um, their fatal flaw is that when people get to know them too well, they get found out. They get realized. If you ever, if
Right.
I'm sure you've noticed a narcissist or two, they never have close friends, or if they do,
No.
it only lasts very long because people get too close and they go fuck. And then as time goes by and more people see what's going on and they lose
Hmm.
more and more control, they finally get exposed for the weak, um, the horrible person they are, and that's where it all self-destructs.
Right.
And Epstein files is one of those things that would expose him to a lot of people that maybe even support him now, and he knows that is pretty serious and could be his demise. And now
Hmm.
he's just flailing, trying to do anything to keep it hidden. I mean, you think
To
about
cover
this.
his behind, exactly.
I mean, how do you explain the fact that Donald Trump in his campaign was
Hmm.
talking about the Epstein files? We're going to release it, the cabal, the Democrats, the pedophiles, and all that stuff. Then he
Yeah.
becomes president. He says, yeah, no, we're not going to talk about that. Oh, those payments, we're not going to talk about that. He even went on True Social, I think, yesterday, or maybe it was today,
Uh-huh.
and he said, we've done all the investigations we can. The whole thing with the Epstein thing is over. We don't need to talk about it anymore. Well, that's the
Get the
last thing he
fuck
should
out of
do.
here. Get the fuck out of here. We know that that's a damn lie, huh?
Yeah, and not even his own people are going to. That's not going to work
They're
on them.
not gonna fall for that. Yeah.
But he's so desperate that he can't even cover it anymore by saying, "Oh, we're going to do this or we're doing that." Just saying, "Don't talk about it anymore." Like that young woman in that press conference who asked him
Yeah.
about going to war with Chicago. Shut
Mm-hmm.
up. Be quiet. Don't talk about it. That's his only answer. And that's a problem for him because that's not an answer most people will accept.
Yeah, and I mean, and then after those responses, that's a dead giveaway. He told on himself. He's guilty.
Well, and that's what he does all the time. He tells
Yeah.
on himself, and
Right.
now he's got Mike Johnson telling on him too. Oh, he's a informant. Oh, wait, no, he's not an informant. Well, which is it, Mike? Is he an informant or is he not an informant? Mike just took something out of his ass, said
Smoke
it,
and mirrors.
and then it blew up in his face. And I'm sure
Smoke and
Donald Trump.
mirrors. Yeah.
It is. It is. I mean, it's just all trying to explain away some of the this criminal behavior, and it's just not working anymore. There's just too
No.
much. There's just too much, and not even Mike Johnson, that power bottom goofy motherfucker. He
And I mean, if Mike Johnson knows, it's like, why would you stick your foot in something that you know that you can't cover?
because he doesn't know what else to say. I mean, that's what's happening with Trump. That's what's happening with the Republicans. They know that what Donald Trump is doing is stupid and terrible. They know
Yeah.
it. And this is what pisses me off about them more than anything. They know better, but they're either
Yeah.
so
But they
terrified.
constantly keep it covering up for them.
Right. They're either terrified that Donald Trump will do something to them, or they will lose power. They're terrified of something. So they're willing to lie, ridiculous lies, just to save themselves. It's like a little kid, you know? I remember telling a story one time. My oldest son, it was his birthday today, 38 years old now. But I remember I was up at our cabin one time, and he's a little kid. He's under two, and he's waddling around, and he's standing there in the yard in front of me, and all of a sudden I see him bends over,
Mm-hmm.
and his face turns bright red, and I go, "Dude, are you pooping?" He goes, "No, no, man." He would not admit to it. That's what Donald Trump is doing, except he
Oh,
doesn't.
yeah. Okay.
He no matter what it is, no matter how obvious it is, he will lie about it, and he thinks it works. And maybe it did for many years. It's just not working now. It's just not
No, it's
working.
like people already, the jig is up. I mean, people know what's going on.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay, we're getting toward the end here, and I just want to talk about Chicago a little bit more because you're in Chicago.
Yes, sir.
What's your mindset right now? How do you prepare for what might come in terms of an invasion, essentially?
Well, only thing I could say is this, though. I want the people that's out there protesting to please, please, please be careful. If you get stopped by any ICE agents, know your rights. Don't try to get in any confrontation with them. If you have a lawyer, make sure you reach out to a lawyer that's a specialist in terms about deportation. But the main thing, know your rights and just watch as well as pray, as my dad used to say a long time ago.
Let me ask you this. There's been a lot of talk about this in these protests. People talking
Hmm.
about how black people are kind of holding back a little bit
Hmm.
because because it puts these people in a much more difficult situation if they have to deal
Yeah.
with white people. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I love this. I don't know if it was in LA or whatever, but there's
Okay.
some things on TikTok, and you'll see these people in the black cars and dressed in military uniforms, but they're not identified as somebody either training or sitting in a car or something. And we got white people walking up, going, "Hey, how you doing? Are you ICE? You look like ICE to us. We got your face on here."
Wow.
And there's not much they can do to the big pasty white people because they're certainly not immigrants. But do you feel like uh, black people in this country are kind of holding back, and white people are suggesting it too, because then it's just an excuse
Yeah.
for ICE or the military to get violent because they're more likely to do that with people of color than a big dumb white guy like me.
You're not dumb, Mike.
Depends on who you talk to.
You are not dumb. I mean, if anything, you have a great sense of humor and you are right with me.
I appreciate that. But do you sense that with black people that they're kind of hanging back just to avoid the potential conflicts that would happen in the
If
protests?
I know my people, though, we are going to stand strong because we are going to get through this. Oh, and another thing, though, for anybody that's out there protesting, make sure, if you see anything, make sure you pull out your cell phones, and make sure that you record everything, because if anything gets out of line or anything is suspicious or illegal, at least you'll have some sort of proof that, in front of you to take to court and say, well, this is what happened.
Yeah.
But I
One
think
thing,
our people, we need to stand strong, but I hope they use wisdom.
yeah, that's the tough part. When things get out of hand
Yeah.
and people are getting hurt, it's hard to keep a reasonable mind. The
Yeah. And I
natural
just really
reaction is
hope
to
they use
strike
some
out.
sort of wisdom because it's like, this is just, I mean, I just never thought in almost 6 decades of my life that, something like this would happen.
Yeah, I never would have either. I did see one video in Chicago that I found heartwarming, and it wouldn't be something normally I'd be feel heartwarmed about. But they showed some video someplace in Chicago, and I'm not sure where it was, but
Mm.
there was this block, and there had to be 600 bikers with their
Okay.
bikes going, "Come on, motherfuckers, come on in."
Okay.
Now, that could get real ugly real quick. because these
Okay.
bikers aren't known for their patience when people are fucking with them. So it does seem like there are some people in Chicago ready to fight this shit out over and above
Yeah, absolutely.
arresting
Absolutely.
people.
I mean, like I said, but the protesters just watch yourself, just watch your surroundings and don't get in no confrontation with ICE. Just, pull out your phones, film, get as much footage as possible and just, make sure you stay connected with someone that knows the laws of deportation.
Since you have some inside information, do you know when this is supposed to happen? I heard toward the end of the week, this past week, and now I'm hearing toward the end of the week,
I
this
don't know
coming
because
week.
it's like I heard they supposed to been here, and then the footage that I saw is like they got a whole bunch of ice trucks lined up, which I saw that this morning. But they say the purpose of that is that way if they come into town, then they could be able to shut them down and stuff. And I'm like, this is crazy.
What part of town? What general area do you live in the
In
Chicagoland area?
on the south side, southwest side, but the area I live in is like I said, I grew up in this area and it's pretty quiet. And it's like some of the people that I know in the neighborhood, I've been knowing them since I was little.
Do you perceive that these people will come into your area of town?
That part I don't know because to be honest with you, because a couple that just recently moved in next door, which is a Mexican couple. And first thing I was like, which I met the husband. He's pretty cool, but first thing I'm thinking about, ooh, is ICE gonna come in this block or what?
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but still, it's like, just trying to be extra careful.
Does Chicago have a lot of Hispanic folks?
Oh yeah, I mean, they got some of everybody. The black community, you got the Hispanic community, you have, especially on the north side, it's more like mixed, it's more versatile.
Okay. The last thing I want to bring up, I've been reading about it and talking about it. It's down in Savannah. Now, I like Savannah because I have a place down there, and my wife and I go
Okay.
down there all the time. And there's a Hyundai plant there. And in this Hyundai plant, Korea, South Korea, has invested hundreds of billions of dollars in this plant, and they're going to be
Oh,
putting more things in Savannah. So, for whatever reason, ICE went into this plant
oh wow.
and grabbed up uh, 450 people, most of which were immigrants on work visas or something like that, but they weren't Mexican. They were South Korean.
Wow.
So when that happened, when that happened, South Korea's pissed off. Motherfucker, we just gave you a bunch of money and we put it in Savannah, Georgia. We're making money for the people of that area and you're getting jobs and stuff. They had
Wow.
diplomats flying from South Korea to come here. They
Mm-hmm.
went to the embassy in South Korea, the U.S. embassy there. And I've heard now that they've just released them. But I'm sure Donald Trump got his ass spanked over this because this was a dumb business move. He
Wow.
keeps talking about bringing all these hundreds of millions of dollars or hundreds of billions of dollars or whatever it is. And then he goes in and basically shuts down this huge factory, pulls out 450 people and just throws everything into a fucking mess. Do you want to make money in this country? I mean, he didn't bring this Hyundai thing in here, but Jesus Christ, he just does
And he's
shit
talking all
and
this
then
shit
tries to fix it
about.
after.
Yeah, because he's talking all this shit about bringing manufacturing back to the United States, but it's not going to happen just overnight. That takes time. You have to find a location, you have to hire people, you have to, find a
Build it.
manufacturer that you got to provide you materials, things like that. And another thing I want to point out about Chicago is this: if he was smart about this in terms about the violence, he would send $800 million, put that towards the anti-violence program to develop programs, like schools and, create like some sort of like centers for people to learn skills to try to find jobs. And that's another thing. Create more jobs, that will cut down the violence.
Well, we
But
know he's doing a
that ain't
shitty
gonna happen.
job at creating jobs. Well, yeah, I mean, isn't that kind of what makes sense here when we have crime in communities wherever they are,
Yes.
it's all pretty much tied to poverty. If we were
Yeah.
able to pull more people out of poverty, we would have less crime. It seems pretty
Exactly.
simple.
And then with him trying to cut these SNAP benefits from this so-called big ugly bill, he's not thinking on the guidelines that's going to make the crime rate even triple, because people going to be looting grocery stores, they're going to be robbing, taking items, just to feed their kids. So he's not even thinking on those guidelines like that.
I saw kind of a microcosm of what could happen in this country. There
Yeah.
is a documentary about Katrina,
Yeah.
and it's sad to watch what happened there and how the people of that community in New Orleans were
Yeah.
treated. There are people trapped or people that are stuck in certain spots, whether it be the Superdome or whatever they were stuck in,
Yeah.
and there was people looting, but they weren't looting TVs and shit like that. They were looting food and water because there was none, and the government wasn't
Thank you.
doing anything
Thank
about it.
you.
And
Thank
there
you.
was a and there was a guy who came in who kind of helped straighten things out. It still was bad. His name was uh, General Russell Honore.
Okay.
Badass dude. If you see the documentary, you should check it out. But General Honore, and he helped coordinate how things are going. And he would walk down the streets and he'd see servicemen in the streets of New Orleans with rifles, and he would walk down the street and he goes, "Put that fucking rifle away. Start helping and stop fucking threatening." And
Wow.
it's a cool documentary. But what I'm saying is, when you saw that in that smaller area, meaning New Orleans, and it was a devastating thing, this is something we could be looking at um, all over the country with
Yeah.
military people with guns, people starving and struggling and need water and stuff, and people threatening and maybe shooting people just because they were trying to fucking survive.
Right.
It's crazy. And hopefully we can get this under control before we get to that point, because I don't know how the country would survive something like that if it was all across the country.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I can say, just, to the people that's watching the podcast, just continue to pray for peace, for America, especially Chicago. And, hopefully this thing will blow over soon and, people could get back to their lives. As we deserve a good life. We deserve to be happy.
We should, at the very least, be allowed to survive. I'm going
Yeah.
to wrap things up, but see Temptation, tell people where they can find you again. They should be looking for you.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm on TikTok, but the main platform that I want people to go to is my platform on YouTube, the political discussion. I want to get at least 1,000 subscribers by the end of this month, which it'll be my 60th birthday. That's not asking for much. I need 1,000 subscribers. And also, you can find me on Instagram, the political discussion. But mainly, the one I'm emphasizing on the most is YouTube.
So the listeners have homework.
Yes, they
Chances
do.
are you may be watching this on YouTube. It isn't going to be hard to go over to See Temptations, the political discussion, and fucking subscribe. Just
Thank
do it.
you.
Just fucking do it.
Ain't none to it. And binge watch my videos. Just watch the videos, leave opinions, because I can't do this by myself. Like I said, I'm trying to create a movement.
Right, absolutely. And that's all any of us can do is we can go out here, say what we say, but we need the people to
Indulge.
participate,
Exactly.
indulge, participate, and get involved. That's the only way we get something done. See, thank you very much for coming on the show. I appreciate it immensely.
Thank
Um,
you, Mr.
you know,
Mike. I appreciate, the honor because only thing I want to do is deliver the truth.
absolutely. Well, we know you deliver the truth, and you do it in a very succinct and forceful way, and I appreciate that. Um, those of you listening, thank you for taking the time to do that. I hope you have a great day, and we will talk to you again tomorrow.